Okay. That's cool as fuck. That.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody's gonna say, you're just a hater. You can't enjoy the current season of The Flash. You know what? If me complaining about this show and pointing out its faults means that I am a hater, then that is what I am. Because what episode was this? Season 9, episode 5 is devoid of logic from start to end. It makes no sense. So, in the last episode, right? What is it that the Red Death says when she's speaking to Iris and then when she's speaking to her team? She's like, the Flash don't want me to go back to my world, then I'm just going to take over his world. Because on my world, I was attempting to kill the Flash. What? Yo, man runs in looking for Chobane. They find him. He gets caught. He is dead to rights. The man who is going to screw up your plans and probably put your ass in chains and in Iron Heights is dead to rights. He has no speed. You have him cornered. Eobard Thawne would have vibrated that hand so fast and just ended his existence expeditiously. Instead, you opt to monologue. And then, like, did he catch an Uber to get back to Star Labs? Because there were issues with his speed. So he super sped there, but he didn't have enough super speed to get back. So he was just like, in full Flash gear, did he just hop in an Uber, drive back to Star? What happened there? Because when she caught him, I was like, this would be like a really, really good moment for them to throw us a curveball. And she just like kills Barry Allen. And everything just like goes out of whack. Everything just goes absolutely nuts and insane. Instead, she gives the monologue and then she just leaves. Okay, fine. Why is Chobane still alive? Because a part of her new plan involves Grodd, which, going back, thinking about the last few episodes, I guess there were hints to the fact that Grodd was somewhere in the background, but at the exact same time, he wasn't a part of her plan. Also, that mirage thing that she creates, where it's like, I'm using Grodd, and I'm also using the meta who's on my team to basically create nightmare versions of me all across the city, and if they kill you, if you're not a speedster or a meta, it instantly kills you. So it's basically my brand of justice. Okay, so you can create 3,000 of these things across the entire city. Why not drop 50 of them into Star Labs? Like, I was like, yo, you can create all of these. I drop one behind Chester. I drop one behind this girl. I drop one behind Caitlin. I drop one behind Joe. I drop one behind Cecile. Like, Wally's probably off on another coast. I'm dropping one behind him. Anyone in relation to the Flash, I'm dropping one of these behind. Because if you're not a speedster and it catches you, you're either in a coma or you're dead. I wouldn't just randomly summon them to be all across the city spouting some weird bullshit and then like not make a difference in any way, shape, or form. But guess what? I was super hyped for. I was like, yo, okay, last episode, we're gonna wrap up this entire situation. We're gonna find out the truth about Ryan Wilder. There's gonna be a dope ass Red Death fight scene, and the fight scene started off fire. It started off with some heat. Caliente. That thing was hot. And then she turned into fucking Spider-Man. Like, I was like, okay, Batarangs getting thrown with the speed force. This reminded me of when Frost had super speed and she was doing like the frost icicles at super speed while she was fighting Deathstorm. I'm like, this is dope as shit. And then out of nowhere, she's just like, up in a way web, and she does like this wide swing to kick the Flash, and I'm like, what? I believe it was, who was it? It wasn't Reverse Flash. He helped the Flash in that fight. What is that dude's name? The all white and gold speedster. Like, I can see him. And like, I can run down the list of like all the speedsters, like Eobard Thawne, Zoom, Savitar, the Rival. But for whatever reason, I cannot remember his name. Like, he's from the New 52. He's white and gold. I don't remember his name. Somebody in the comments is probably going to say his name, like, down low. But he was the first one to introduce, like, the lightsabers. Where, like, in the middle of him and the Flash fighting, they broke out lightsabers and started dueling, like, on guard. What is that? Like, whatever happened to season 1, 2, and 3 speedster fights, which is basically a contest of speed. Whoever's the fastest speedster wins, unless the speedster that you're fighting has more battle experience than you. Like, do you remember in season 1 where Zoom was cooking Barry? I mean, cooking Barry. He couldn't do shit. Zoom broke that man's spine and ran his ass around Central City like a goddamn rag doll. Do you remember that? But then do you remember when Zoom killed Barry's dad and Barry couldn't catch him? So what did he do? He used his mind and realized where Zoom was gonna go, took a shortcut, caught him, tripped him up in that alley, and beat the bricks off that man? What happened to that? Where did that go? What happened to those type of speedster fights? What happened to Barry versus the Reverse Flash and he gets the upper hand on him with sheer speed during the crossover event, and he catches him, pins him up against the wall, vibrates his hand thinking about killing him, and then he lets him go. He let him go to be a menace across the rest of the timeline, but he beat him, like, in that regard. What happened to those? Why is it that speedster fights are suddenly Green Lantern fights, where they're creating lightsabers, they're shooting webs, they're creating energy shields? What is this? Like, even the comics have kind of stepped back from the idea of Speed Force constructs. They suck. Like, they take a lot of the fun out of the fight. Like, the idea of that fight was super dope when she took off the batarangs and she started throwing them. I'm like, okay, like, throwing the batarangs at super speed with, like, the artificial Speed Force, that's cool as hell. But then all of a sudden, like, you're shooting webs up to, like, the ceiling, and then you're doing, what did that even connect to? Because it's lightning. It can't connect to anything because it's energy. So you shoot out energy. Like, imagine if Zeus threw a thunderbolt at a building, caught the end of the thunderbolt, and then web slinged like Spider-Man around the corner. It doesn't make sense. Like, if the lightning bolt was to connect with another lightning bolt, you could say that there's two different energies battling. What did the web that she shot up into the sky connect? Like, that's gonna keep me up. That's good. That's gonna keep me up. Like, oh boy. And then talk about, like, picking up a plot thread and dropping it, and then inserting a random plot thread. Like, I already talked about the Grodd thing, but the Ryan Wilder thing, nothing amounted to that. Like, earlier on in the season, they were like, oh yeah, we're having major issues here in Gotham because Ryan Wilder's been missing for 3 weeks. Then she just randomly shows up in Central City. Like, where was you at? Who was you fighting? What's going on with you? Where you been? Why you ain't informed your team? Were you captured? Were you not captured? Like, what? You just gonna show up to have a 1v1 and then leave. Like, she hit us with a fucking tuxedo mask. She was like, well, my job here is done. And then just, like, walked off screen. I'm like, what happened? Like, where was you at? They made it seem as though you were important to the story. Lo and behold, you ain't. So my whole thing is, why even, like, bring you in? Like, did they forget that they told us that she was missing, that no one's seen her in Gotham for, like, the last 3 weeks? So the Red Death didn't have you. No one had you. Your team didn't know where you was at. What happened? What happened? This shit makes me so mad. Oh, this shit makes me so mad. I be like, I legit be hella furious. Like, I'm just, oh boy. Like, I don't know who's writing this, but like, this ain't it. Like, this, like, oh boy. And what's gonna make me mad is I feel as though like this was some weird fan service for someone. It ain't me. It wasn't for me. I don't know who the fuck this was for, but it wasn't for me. But this was some weird bullshit fan service for somebody. And then Matt's gonna come back as the OG Reverse Flash for the back half of this season and completely blow it out of the water. And then we're all gonna be like, why wasn't my man here since the beginning? Pain. That is all this is. Pain. The Arrowverse is ending, and it's ending on I'm gonna go lay the fuck down. Yeah, comment down below. Let me know what you think about this episode of The Flash, like this entire reverse death saga, like just. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.